Welcome to Best Binocular Reviews. In this video we're going to be taking a look at mostly the external features of these Hawke Endurance ED 8x42 binoculars. The eyepiece covers or rain guard on these binoculars are fairly typical of binoculars these days in that it's a really simple design, but it's a design that works quite well. As you can see, the ones on these are made of quite a soft rubber or plastic. I like the fact that they fit really nicely to the actual Eyecups themselves, so it shouldn't come away too easily by accident. Another small feature that I really like, but it's sometimes missed by manufacturers, is this nice flexible bridge in between the two cups. What this means is that you can store the cups onto the binoculars no matter what your and keep your IPD setting. Some rain guards force you to open up your binoculars every time you want to store them, which is a really small thing, but time and time again can become a bit of a pain. As you can see, they have a couple of loops on each side, allowing you to thread them through your neck strap and then keep them handy at all times once you're out in the field. I really like the objective lens covers on the Hawke Endurance ED binoculars. Not only are they tethered to the binocular, which is quite a sort of common feature these days, but it's really nice in the fact that you always have them handy, and you can be glassing 1 minute and then your covers are handy just for you to quickly replace. You're not going to misplace them or anything like that. But they have a couple of features which just take them a bit above and beyond what the normal ones have. Firstly, as you can see here, they're tethered to a little fitting at the bottom of the actual binocular itself. Most manufacturers will have a separate ring which goes around the binocular, which is works well enough, but it just doesn't look as clean or as finished off as these do. Then there's the other thing of the fact that I like that the covers themselves fit into the barrels instead of fitting over them, as you find on many binoculars. The fact that they fit into the barrel, it just once again has a nice clean look to it, a nice finished look. So they look a bit more classy than the standard lens cover. As you can see, the fit themselves within the binoculars is nice. Again, they shouldn't come away too easily by accident. And all in all, yeah, a really simple design, but looks really nice and adds to the actual overall look and feel of the binocular. Feature a top hinge body design, in that the hinge itself is quite a lot thinner than what you normally see, and is positioned a bit closer to the eyepieces than the objective lenses. What this does is it frees up quite a large area over here on the barrels for you to hold on to, both whilst you're binning, but more importantly, I find if you're like me and don't use your neck strap a lot, whilst I'm walking around, I hold on to the binoculars. It just has a nice place, a good large area for you to hold on to, and gives you less chance of dropping them. As is the norm these days, almost the entire exterior of these binoculars is covered in a rubberized armor. As you can see, it has a number of smooth sections, as well as some that are slightly grooved, as well as these really deep grooving sections on the side. Not only does this sort of, I guess, add to the aesthetics of the binocular in the design over here, but Hawke have positioned the different textures in exactly the right places, just to aid grip a little. As you can see on the sides of the binoculars, it's just to make it a little less slippy and so less chance of you dropping them. It's something that I do like. Also are the two thumb indents, as you can see on the underside of the binocular. Just makes it just encourages you to hold the binocular in the right place, in the right way, in the right place, and to get a nice balanced hold on them when you're looking through your binoculars. The rubber coating itself is really hard, and as you can see over here, it fits really tightly to the binocular, but it's quite thick as well. So whilst it is thick, as I said, it's really hard. This hardness, the disadvantage of which is that it doesn't provide as much cushioning protection as, say, a softer rubber would do to the internals. Should you drop them or anything like that. On the upside, however, the tougher rubbers tend to last longer than the softer, more spongier ones, which I have found over time can actually disintegrate, or perish a bit easier than these can. So on the whole, a nice rubber covering. This version is green, and I'm pretty sure that you can actually get a black version as well. A feature that most people won't mention in reviews, and something that I really do like about these binoculars, is, as you can see here, the objective lenses are set quite deeply within the ends of the barrels. Now, on the actual overall dimensions, this will add a certain length to the binocular, which some people will find off-putting, should you be looking for a really compact design. However, this end or the sheltering that the overhang creates for the lenses is quite important, in that obviously it protects the lenses. When you put them down like this on a table, or you're walking through undergrowth or something, something could more easily scratch a lens that's less protected than these. But also, in light rain falling down, it won't actually go onto the grass as easily, should they not be positioned such deeply within the ends of the barrels. And then there's also dust. It just prevents dust from settling on the lenses, which in turn means that you have to clean them less often, which in turn means that your lenses remain in pristine condition just that much longer. Another advantage of the overhang is a lot of people say that it acts like a camera hood. So a professional cameraman, you'll see they'll put a hood on the end of their cameras to prevent lens flare. And this is the same sort of theory that goes behind this, in that it acts as a little hood. Just in some lighting conditions, you don't get a lens flare occurring on the lenses. These binoculars come with twist-up eye cups, and what I mean by that, as you can see, they twist up and down. The actual mechanism is I really like on those binoculars, and the fact that they feels nice and sturdy. Sometimes you get with binoculars that the actual twist up, the cup itself moves around a bit, and it doesn't feel really strong, and you get a lot of free and unwanted movement. Whereas these are nice and sturdy. As you can see, they are a two-phase system, in that fact you get a midpoint click stop in between fully extended and fully retracted. The midpoint again is it engages into that position nice and firmly, and won't move out of it too easily. On the whole, a really nice cup. The rubber on the outside is quite hard, but it's fairly standard, and having used them for a while now, these are as comfortable as any others out there. As for the eye relief, you get 18 millimeters of eye relief, which should you wear glasses, you would use your binoculars most likely either in the midpoint or fully retracted. The 18 millimeters behind the lens, which is the perfect position to enable you to see the full field of view, is a good distance, and most eyeglass wearers should be able to use these binoculars without any problems at all. In order to calibrate these binoculars to suit your particular vision, should you have any difference between the strength of your right or left eyes, you adjust the diopter ring, which is located over here in the standard position on the right eyepiece. And as you can see, you simply turn this ring either left or right in the negative or positive direction. And whilst it isn't lockable, which some are, that you can click them in place and it'll lock securely in a position, I do like the fact that there's quite a lot of friction to movement over here, as you can see. So turning it by accident, it shouldn't happen too easily by accident. And thus, once you have your setting in place, it should remain there. The focus wheel on these binoculars is positioned in this real standard position, centrally located. I like the fact it's quite nice and large. In fact, having measured it, it is, I'll tell you now, 31 millimeters in diameter, which for a full-size binocular is not massive, but it's sort of on par with the larger ones out there. It has a nice grooved track along the top to add grip, and whilst in most circumstances this isn't really necessary, or goes unnoticed, but in winter you're wearing thick gloves, it just it can make a small but important difference. Other things to mention is that the actual mechanism itself is really nice and smooth. There's a certain amount of friction to the movement, so it doesn't just spin around and turn too easily. And at the same time, it's probably in my eyes just a little too tough to turn, but you know, it's really a minor point. It's more important that the actual mechanism itself, there's no sticking points, and it doesn't, you know, move around and have any free movement or anything like that. So on the whole, a really nice focus wheel. It looks nice, with a sort of metal engraving in the back. Now, other points to mention is to take the focus from its minimum focusing distance all the way up to infinity takes, as you can see here, 2 full turns of the focus wheel, you know, or 720 degrees. That I describe as you know, a sort of mid to quite low geared mechanism, in that it takes quite a lot of turning to make big adjustments. The downside to this is obviously that it just takes you a bit longer. You know, should you be looking at a bird or something in the distance, then you suddenly see something really close up that you want to, you know, quickly have a look at. You have to turn the wheel quite a lot to make that large adjustment. On the positive side, however, you know, making small adjustments, you know, if you really want to get your focus dialed in, you know, exactly right, you know, making the really small adjustments is just that much bit easier with a mechanism, you know, that's lower geared than the higher mechanism ones. So, you know, it's just down to personal preferences. The distance between the 2 eye cups on these binoculars can be altered in the usual way by opening and closing the central hinge, as you can see over here. This IPD distance, or interpupillary distance, can go from a maximum of 7.3 centimeters down to a minimum of 5.3 centimeters, which is a fairly standard range for a full-size binocular, and it means that it should accommodate most people's faces, and those with really close set eyes and those with eyes set quite far apart. The Hawke Endurance ED 8x42 binocular is tripod adaptable, and by that I mean this central dust cap over in the center of the bridge over here can be unscrewed, and that leaves a recess over there, the thread of which has a standard thread which will take almost all tripod adapters. So you just simply screw the tripod adapter into the binocular like that, and then you would fix that to the head of your tripod. The included neck strap that you get with these Hawke binoculars is reasonably well padded, in that it's fairly thick, fairly wide I should say, and also reasonably thick. I've seen thicker, but having said that, the materials is quite nice and flexible and nice and soft. So, and it has this nice grippy section that does grip nicely on the back of your neck and shoulders, so that it doesn't slide around too easily. As you can see here, it's a straight design, which is a little bit of a shame in the fact that some of the better ones have a curved shape to them, just so that it fits around your neck and shoulders, you know, just that much better. But having said that, it's, you know, that's just a minor point and nothing to worry about too much. As you can see, the connectors here between the padded section of the strap and the actual nylon part that fits into the binocular over here is made from a sort of fake fake leather. The actual stitching itself is really good and nice and tough, and so you know, this really won't come away or come apart over time. The nylon part, as you can see, fits. You fit it to the binocular in the usual way of threading it through the sides loops on the binocular, and then back on itself and through a slider over here, just enabling you to adjust the length of the strap to suit your needs. I do like the carry case that you get with these binoculars, in that it's as a semi-rigid design, which obviously will provide more impact protection for the binoculars than you do on most soft carry cases that you get. The case itself, as you can see, has its own carry strap. It's unpadded, but having said that, it can be adjusted for length with this, as you can see, with a slider over here. And I do like the fact that you can actually remove it with these quick release clips. So should you not want to carry the bag you know, over your shoulder, you can quite quickly remove the strap like so, and you have a hand strap over here, which you can, so it may be a different way that you prefer to carry them about. So nice fixability over there. One thing that is missing, and I guess it would be a bit strange to have a hard case, is a belt loop on the back, so you could fix it to your belt. So those of you who like to carry your binoculars, on your waist or your hip, may find this to be an issue. The case itself, I like the fact that it has a fully zipped closure. Once again, this means that it just adds a little level more of protection than in, say, a Velcro strap or just a simple clip that you sometimes get that can easily fly open and your binoculars fall out. On the downside, obviously, it just takes that bit longer to get into the case. Which, for some people, if you just about to see a once in a lifetime sighting and you truly struggle to get to your binoculars, it could be an issue, I guess. Another point to mention about the zips are the fact that, as you can hear, it just makes that bit of noise. So you just need to be careful in certain situations. For example, if you're really close to really timid wildlife or birds, just to make sure that you don't make too much noise, but it is possible. Velcro is also has a similar issue. Inside the bag, you can see it has a separate, I don't know if you can see it over there, a separate pocket, which is quite a nice place to keep your lens cleaning cloth, or some money or some keys or something. As you can see over here, the case also has these two Velcro fixing points, so you can actually open the case up completely or just have it so that it doesn't open fully. A point that I do like about the case itself is that you can store the binoculars, as you can see here, with the eye cups fully extended. Ooh, and I'll put, just to prove it, with the rain guard in place as well. So you can store your binoculars as you would have them. There are some cases out there that require you to twist down the eye cups, or at least make it difficult for you to store them as such. And so every time you put your binocular back in the case, you have to open it, change your settings, which just becomes a bit of a pain. So a really small feature, but one that I do look for in the better cases out there. The included cleaning cloth that you get with these binoculars is of a reasonably good quality and perfectly fine for emergency use when out in the fields for maybe cleaning the body of the instrument or very carefully cleaning of the lenses. However, I would suggest that for proper maintenance and care of your lenses, that you do invest in a lens cleaning kit. They don't have to be expensive, but they just ensure that you don't mark or damage any of the coatings on the lenses. That concludes the quick overview of these Hawke Endurance ED 8x42 binoculars. For the full review that goes into way more detail than I have on this video, please just take a look in the link below, or a link on this video, which will take you through to the BBR website. Once again, many thanks for your time and thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.